it took me 3 days to watch the 9 episodes of the Squid Game, which is a huge Illuminati truth drop movie. From the black and white checkered floors everywhere, to the triangles and pyramids everywhere, to the mask wearing, eyes wide shut concepts, all the way to the idea of almost selling your... Okay. These cars are just so narcissistic. It's just like, come on. So, we have a movie here. Well, it's a series. And it's not like when I was a kid. The series used to be like, what were the TV series? They had tons of them growing up, but nothing quite like this. Except for Roots, I guess. Roots was a huge truth drop and extremely violent. Well, one of the most violent movies I know of are like Quentin Tarantino movies and John Woo movies, and movies like The Patriot, very violent. Movies like, and that's, what's this guy? I can't remember his name, but he makes pretty good movies, but they are extremely violent. He did what's that movie? Braveheart. That was extremely violent. With the head cracking and all that kind of stuff, severed legs and limbs and all that kind of stuff everywhere. And we have something that might be more violent than anything I've ever seen before. You do not want your children watching this 9-part series, because if you're worrying about our children and how they're becoming desensitized, this will help with the desensitizing of the people. And this is like, worldwide, this series. This is like, it's no joke. Violent. And and it first starts off trying to build this character up as somebody who we can kind of care about a little bit. I felt nothing for this man. I didn't care about him in any kind of way. I didn't think he was, what's the word? Is it the protagonist? I didn't care for him in any way. It didn't do it for me. And it wasn't because the movie was dubbed. You know how when you see these dubbed movies, you don't really get the true emotion of the movie? But what was great about this movie is that all these people were wearing masks. There was these masks. Some masks had a square, and some masks had the triangle, and then other masks had the circle. So you had a circle, a square, and a triangle. And these were different levels of suits that are pink with black face. Maybe that's part of the truth drop too, the whole black face thing going on. A lot of black face. Even from the guy who we believe is like the leader. This guy that comes across as he's the leader, but we always have to understand that this being very truth drop-esque, the movie, it leaves a lot of clues behind. Like, if you listen really carefully, you'll find out that we're being told at all times what our expectations are and who the people are at play. And another thing, I'm going to jump forward a little bit, a couple of episodes, and let me just say, respect to the black market, because it's like in every scenario that you see, from Colony on Netflix to this here, the black market always wins. I preface that to let me just get into this thing. We got this guy who has made a lot of bad decisions. A lot of bad decisions in business and in his marriage and as a father. And he's one of those guys that he at any drop of the dime, he wants to take a bet. Very emotional. not much of a winner, but not so much of a degenerate way he doesn't win. He does win, and of course, with the winnings he gets pickpocketed. And then of course he meets the person who pickpocketed him, and at this place, and it's really interesting, is because they're catching these people that are down on their luck. So if you're down on your luck, they send out these recruiters, and these recruiters, Rob Lowe, these recruiters, I see you, buddy, thank you. And these recruiters are, what are they doing? These recruiters are sent out and are strategically placed in people's lives, and they challenge these people to these bets, and knowing the weakness of the betting world and the betting mentality, they fall for a hook, line, and sinker, and then they're given a little bit of money, like they win money.
The highway in 1.8 miles.
And they win money. And I just put the navigation on because I don't want to have to think too hard about where I'm going. Even though I know where I'm going, I don't necessarily need a navigation. But for this, I'm going to use it. And we have see, I'm getting distracted already. Okay, so this guy, this degenerate gambler, signs a contract with the people he owes money to, which was almost like him selling his soul. It reminds me of how when you sign a phone contract, you don't know what the hell is in that thing. When you sign the terms and conditions to a contract, you don't know anything about what you're signing. And you're just so desperate to get a phone or to get a new set of furniture, or you want that 10% off on the TV, that you'll sign your life away, and this movie was a truth drop when it comes to signing your life away without reading the terms and conditions of what you're signing. And basically, these people are recruited, and they win a little bit of money on the streets, like a let's just imagine, if you haven't seen it already, but like a three-card Monty, where they take the 3 cards and they say, pick a card, any card, which is your card, and then you say, pick the red card, and they let you win the first one, and then they shuffle it again, and then they win, then they let you win, and then they win. I don't know exactly the formula to it, but there is a formula, and this formula allows a person to, for the movie, their version of the 3-card Monty
To enter the highway
are these, of course, 1 red and 1 blue, and it's these little cards, and you have to slam one card up against another card and have that card bounce upside down. And if you when you slam your colored card, they're like squares, like this big, and these squares are, let's say, 5, like a 5-inch by 5-inch square, and it's kind of cushioned, like folded paper, not it's like folded paper. When you were a kid, you would do all those. It looked like one of those, and then when you open it, you answer the question: does she like me? Does she like me not? So it looks. What's they called, origami style folding. So it's like one of those things that you fold and you open it up and you say, oh, she loves me, she likes me. Well, today be no homework, whatever you write in those things. And what I noticed was that so they lure you in this way. So and one of the tricks, knowing that these people have no money, is that they'll say, hey, let me slap you if you win. If you win, you get money, and if I win, I get to slap you. So they really are looking for a person so down in their luck that they're willing to take a slap in the face in order to win some money from a stranger on the streets. So we're talking about the desperate of the desperate people. Like, I've never been so desperate that I allow somebody to slap me in the face for an opportunity to win a buck. You know, I always went out there and earned a buck. So this story could never be me. I could never be in this room with these people. But what we find out is that once you win a few dollars, what they do is they give you that card, and that card has that symbol of the triangle, the square, and the circle. And on that card there's a number, and you call this number, and when you call this number they ask for your name and your date of birth, and then they say, would you like to play a game? Would you like to be part of a game? And most people are like, you know, thinking the game I just played won me some money, let me play another. Yeah, of course I'm down to play another game. So they tell you, okay, meet me on such a place and such a time. So you're standing out there on a certain place at a certain time, and a guy pulls up in a minivan, and you get in the minivan, and they release a gas in the minivan, and that gas knocks you out. You then wake up, unbeknownst to you, whether it's been days, weeks, hours, you're not sure. They never made it a point to say how a person felt when they woke up. Like, it was just, they woke up and I'm here in this space. And according to the movie, it was only, like, let's say a day or 12 hours, something like that. It wasn't days later. So you got a group. What happens is they wake up and they're in this huge room where you can fit an airplane inside of it, like an airplane hangar. And in this room, it's just all beds, and all the beds are stacked about 7 tiers up. And it's pretty. The budget on this movie there was no budget. There was a price. They didn't have to do. They spared no expense from everything. From the lighting was amazing and brilliant, all the way to the acting was really spot on. Even though it was dubbed, you could still feel it. You know, so that was good. You know, you felt that emotion. You know, there was parts where I had to turn my eye because, you know, I'm not trying to have that in my spirit where I'm looking at gore. But all these people wake up in these outfits, and these outfits have a number on them. And it's the main character, the gambler who's ruined his life, ruined his wife, ruined his family, lives with his mother, steals from his mother. He's a thief, swindles her credit card, gambles, and then he's like running around trying to beg his friends for money to pay off these people that he owes. So he's everything that I do not like in a man. I don't like any of the stuff that he represented. And what happens is that when they wake up in this room, there were 400, like 500 people in this room, right? So, you know, they're all getting acclimated. They're asking questions. They're like trying to figure out what's going on here. And what happens then is they're given a contract, and this contract, they're told to sign the contract, and this contract will allow them to play the game. Mind you, they have no idea what game it is. They only know about the game that they played in order to get to where they were. So now these people are ushered into this huge room. I'm not sure if they ate first, was their breakfast served, but they ushered into this huge room, another hangar size room where you can fit a jumbo jet in this room. And it's all totally artificial. All the walls represent like a field, but it's totally artificial. But they look up in the sky, they can see birds flying. So there is some sort of like opening so they're encased in a room, but there's no ceiling, so sunlight can come into the room. And then there's that, you ever play the game red light, green light, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, red light, green light, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So it's this huge 10-story female child plastic, or and you know how you turn around and you say red light, green light, 1, 2, 3, and then you turn around and you catch the people who are trying to make it towards you. So what happens is when this plastic 10-story child turns around, you're supposed to stop. But of course, they don't really know what's going on, so they're like just smiling. One guy is like this older man. He has this big smile on his face. He was like the first one to run, and he ran like a 70-year-old man, like, and he just has this big old Kool-Aid smile on his face, happier than a fat kid with cake. And not too many other people were really like that enthusiastic to be there. This one particular guy, he was like more like of a class clown kind of a guy, and when it was time to stop, he kind of was like, you know, snickering, and you hear a gunshot go off, and the guy collapses. So everyone is like, what just happened? And this plastic child, 10-story plastic child, then turns its head. So now you're supposed to move forward again, and everybody's like, one guy went over to the person who collapsed, and he's like, yo, what are you doing? Get up. And then that's when you see blood coming out of its mouth, or out of his mouth, and everybody's like, oh my goodness. Now she turns her head kind of like looking at the guy who fell. Oh, what's going on here? What game is this? Yo, and anyone that moved at point trying to figure out what's going on got shot. And they was being shot by sniper shots that looked like it was done through remote control. It wasn't a person. It was through this 10-story doll. Their eyes were very mechanical and moving, which was giving off the information to the, so this is very high tech, giving off the information to the gunners. That was just, all you saw was the I don't know what that's called, but the long part of the gun, that's all you saw sticking out of the wall, and there was at least 20 of them, 10 on each side, just for, you know, for just to give you an idea. And next thing you know, not everyone, but most people start running the barrel. Thank you. Everyone is running. I mean, not everyone, but a significant amount of people just start freaking out. Now they're running for the doors that they came in, which were locked. And this shooting these people in their backs, in their heads, it was crazy. And then people started, you know, the doll turns its head again, and then now everyone is like trying to make it forward. But here's the thing: if you do not make it to the line and there was a timer, it was a 10-minute timer or 5-minute timer, I'm not sure. If you do not make it past it, so in other words, if you think you're just gonna stand there and not move forward because you don't want to get shot, you still have to make it to the line before the time is up. And all the people that didn't make it after the timer went off, which was like at least 10 to 20, they all got laid down. Very bloody, very gory, very like, you know, where the body is just shaking from the bullets riddling their body. Very, very violent, very gory, and your jaw is dropped at this point. You're watching this television series on Netflix, and you're like, oh my God, what the hell? I did not expect that. It was like, oh, it was a slap in the face of reality. Like, whoa, what am I watching? What am I looking at? What am I seeing? Oh my God, it's so beautiful out here. Look at this. Let's see if you can see that. That guy. Look at that guy. Boom. So, you start to, me as the person watching the movie, I'm like, what the hell am I watching? I was so stunned and so surprised and so shocked. I was actually felt like amazed by it. Like, wow, great. I got to see something that surprised me, that shocked me, that I didn't expect. I felt good. You get this adrenaline. Mind you, we're like 35 for 40 minutes while these people got rounded up, signed contracts, and now are being blown away. Mind you, when they come back into the dormitory area, they're like freaked out. And what happens is, one of the people there read the contract that they signed. And that was because the people were like, I want to go home. I don't want to be here no more. And they're like, oh, you signed the contract. And this one guy's like, yeah, but the contract did say the majority rules. And what does the majority say? So they said something really interesting in the movie. They were saying how this is a democratic situation, and do not ruin this democratic situation. So they pulled out a voting booth, where, not a booth, but a voting, what's that? A pulpit, or one of those, like when someone speaks to a crowd, they're standing in front of, that's like a podium or whatever have you. And in this podium, they had a red button and a green button. And the green button means that you'll stay and play the game. The red button means that you will, you want to leave the game. But before they allow them to vote, because the majority wins on this concept, so before they allow them to vote, this huge see-through piggy bank comes down from the ceiling of their dormitory. And the piggy bank is about the size of a Brinks truck. Let's just imagine a see-through Brinks truck, but it's shaped falls down, and it's connected on the top. The slot where you put the money in, or the dollars in. This has a round circular slot that's about 24 into this. That's there. Everyone that died, which was over 200 people from the first game that died, are worth X amount of dollars. So that amount is dropped into this piggy bank. And since it was 200, the piggy bank is almost halfway full. It was a ton of money. And now they told to, now, all right, so now vote. If you don't want to be involved in this game, vote, and the majority wins. And what I found interesting was the old man that was smiling while playing the first game, he wound up being the tiebreaker, because it was like, 100 and 100. 100 said no, 100 said go, 100 said stay. And he was the deciding factor, that he actually pressed the button that said to everyone can go. So now we have people being regassed, put back on. Mind you, they had to take a ship there. It was on an island. This was like on some island over there in near Korea, and they put them on a ship, gas them up, put them on a ship, and drop them off into the streets just the way they found them. So now you have 200 more people that are back into their regular lives. One of them is a gangster. There's a scene between him and his guys, because mind you, he was gone for a few days, right around the time where he robbed one of the bosses. You know how that goes. Gangster robs the boss, and now the boss sends them the minions to get him. He escapes a life-threatening situation that he was put under, and they made a point to show him kill one of those guys in a very violent and vicious and violent way. They wanted us to know that this guy was not like the first character, where You know, he's just like, you know, a guy down on his luck who made a lot of bad decisions, who gambles too much, and lives with his mother and has a horrible relationship with his ex-wife, her new husband, and his daughter. And so what happened was the old man pops up again. And the old man is like, what do you do? They see each other again. And they get a little bit of a bond. Like, you know, like a friendly bond. Like, the old man doesn't have any money, so he helps get the old man a beer, and they share some ramen noodles, which I thought that was a good scene. So the guy, you know, he has the problems with his mom, and he's trying to figure out what he's gonna do. So we're just gonna fast forward a little bit, where basically out of the 201 people that decided to leave, 180 or 90 came back, signed the contract, and said, I want to play the game, because their lives were so, you know, their lives were so horrible that they were willing to just take another chance. So the next step that happens is they have these cookies that they have to take a little needle and trace either the triangle, the circle, the square, and then the last one was the umbrella. So of course the guy who, you know, everybody's trying to get a strategy. They want to know, like, you know, should we team up? Should we, you know, should we stick together? Should those people stick together? There's this one woman who decides to have sex with one of these guys in the bathroom because he was very alpha and in charge, and she was trying to position herself. He cuts her throat, and it was just all about self, and it was all about signing your life away, the realization of you signing your life away, and also the realization that there's massive amounts of money involved here. We're talking about a Brinks truck full of money, where you won't be a millionaire. No, you're going to be a billionaire. This is how they're setting this up. So you have this game where they have to trace out the cookie. This was the second game. And of course the main characters were able to get out of it, but it was so violent because anyone whose cookie broke, these guys that were dressed in the pink outfits and the blackface, they would, and when I say blackface, they're like masks that they're wearing. Very high-end, very high-tech fly, like some sort of fencing. It looked like a fencing mask that had a couple of parts to it where it can be like, you know, it can contract and close up and all that kind of stuff. So they're wearing these fencing style blackface masks. And it was just, it was interesting, you know, like I was kind of emotionally invested on the story more than the characters. I was emotionally invested on what was the next game going to be, more so than will these people that I've developed some sort of feelings for survive. I didn't really care about that. And it was like, it was interesting to see people that know that there's a game they're gonna play and they just watch 200 people die, but then they'll go back. It's like that money is such a lure. It's just, it has such a spell on people and what they're willing to do, what they're willing to, how they're willing to act with each other and be with each other, and the lengths that people will go for just the idea of having all that money, more money than you can ever use. And then, what are the odds that you would be able to win said money? They never explained to the people that it was going to be one person winning this money. No. If you play the games and you win the games, then you will walk away with the money. But my thing is only one person going to get this money? Or are we going to share? You see, it's like, and then you can see how people were clicking up, trying to team up so that they can position themselves so that they can get the money. We're going to be able to get this money if we win these next couple of games, which were 6 games. And you know, gematria, the number 6 is really no joke. And it was gematria all over this movie. So now what we have is the second game, when if a person that was trying to scratch their cookie, if they were able to do that, get the piece, the shape that the cookie was in without breaking the cookie, or at least breaking the shape. You can break around the shape. Then what happens is, but all around them, people were getting shot. It was massive headshots, and the sound was like, it was just, oh my God. There were just these guys in these pink clothes. They were just shooting everywhere. It was just, just the sound of the shooting. And do not let your children watch this series. Please do not let your children watch this series. So I think a lot of adults maybe don't even need to watch this, honestly. You know, like there was this one guy, he was like God-fearing and praying and all that, and he showed how he was willing to kill anyone that got in his way, despite the fact that this guy was like thanking God for surviving the 1 or 2 or 3 challenges he'd survived. And the third challenge was a tug of war. And these people are like, 20 stories in the air doing a tug of war. And this old man, he's like giving tips to how to beat this tug of war. And he's explaining to them how to lean all the way back in the positioning of your feet, because they had 2 women on that. They had 3 women and 1 old man, and the other team had 10 all men. So that means they had 7 men. One of them was in his 80s, and 3 women. So they're going up against men, and the men were so cocky, they just knew they were going to beat these. You got 3 women and an old man. Oh, they just knew they had this. But of course, they were able to use what's called leverage, like when you're towing, like when you're taking a truck out of the sand. You don't want
keep left.
You don't want to keep the rope. Like, let's say you're gonna pull a truck out of the sand. You hook up the truck to you hook up the rope to the truck that you're gonna pull out, right, or the car, and you're in a car. And most people think that what you do is you get the rope to be real tense, right? You slowly get the rope where it's real tight and real tense, and then you gun it and pull the car out. No, that's not how you get a car out. You could get a car out like that, don't get me wrong, of course. But the way you do it is you leave a lot of slack. You leave a lot of slack in the rope, and then you jerk that rope, and that's how you push forward. So they were able to do moves like that, and they were able to catch their rhythm, and the other team fell to their death. And the 3 women and the elderly man, they were able to make it. Let me just make sure I'm doing the right thing here. Boom, boom, yeah. And that was the third challenge. And in between the 3rd and 4th challenge,
5 for 19 miles.
They have these beds that are up very, very high, set up in a way where they will collapse. So you have these beds that collapse on itself, killing people as the beds fell. Not only killing, that gangster guy, what they did was they stopped feeding the people. They only gave them like 1 egg and a bottle of water, or 1 egg and a glass bottle of soda. And that was like their dinner. So of course, some of the tough guys, they went online twice. So there were like 4 or 5 people that didn't get to eat because the tough guys, they skipped the line. They went around twice. And one guy was really pissed off about, yo, you took my food, you're eating my food, you're drinking my drink. What the hell, man? So they get into a fight. And the guy kicks the man to death. I mean, this is a very violent movie or series. Kicks the man to death. Okay? And once the guy got kicked to death, you look up at the screen, it had something like you would find like in a gym when they have like the scoreboard, and it showed them, and the more money dropped down, so it let them know that, yeah, you can die during the game, but you can also die here in the dorm. So that led to a huge violent dormitory attack where like 20 more people died or 30 more people died. They were like hitting people on the side, upside their heads with the steel from the beds. The beds, these beds were, they were stacked really high, and when the beds started to fall down, people were like pulling the beds apart and like hitting people in the head with it. It was absolute mayhem. And that was like that was in between the third and the fourth one. Before, I think that might even been before the tug of war. Just making sure I'm getting off of the right side. So now, what happens next? Just want to make sure I'm going to not make a mistake here. So, a lot of the truth drops parts of this. If I don't want to just keep, this is going to be it's going to be like a 50-minute video if I continue talking this way about this movie. But let me just say this. This movie is such a truth drop because what it tells us is that you have to be told. You have to be told. So recognize what you're being told, because you have to be told. You can't be played. You can then try to play the system with the information you got, but you know how that works. When you test out government or your bosses and you try to get over, you try to get over, but what happens is that you end up playing yourself because you're not recognizing that this has already been done. Everything that we've done has already been done. Most thoughts are not even our own thoughts. Most things that we do it's already been done. People already did this. You're not doing anything new. You're not breaking any new ground. So most people in a controlled environment know exactly what people in human nature is going to do. It's very rare that people diverge from the script, if I should say that, the script. And what we have is they told these people everything that was going to happen. They told these people the truth, and they still accepted the terms and conditions. It's like our cell phones are listening, and do we get pissed off and just go analog? Do we get pissed off and only go with a PC? Do we get pissed off and don't take our phones into the amusement park? Do we get pissed off and stop taking pictures of our foods? Do we get pissed off and stop taking pictures of our socks and our shoes and posting that? Do we get pissed off and stop feeding the system all the information that it already knows that we're gonna do, and we keep on doing it? No, we don't do that. What we do is we think that despite the fact that they told us they're listening, despite the fact that they told us they're watching, despite the fact that they told us that they're collecting massive amounts of data, we still believe that we have the ability to somehow make a difference and change that. But we still want to look cute in our Louis, Fendi, Prada, Gucci. We still want to look cute with our cell phones and our earpieces and our BMWs and our ideas of, we know the system is playing us. They told us they're playing us, but yet we still keep on playing the game. We don't walk away and say, you know what? I think I'm just going to make better choices. This movie was such a truth drop when it comes to choice. I remember as a kid, that my mom, she was very religious. Trust me, she slapped me with that Bible a few times upside my head. And, you know, it always was about how the angels were given a choice, and they chose to lay down with the human being and create those huge children. You know, those huge children that were the result of the choices that were being made. Like, no one is going to stop you from making these choices, but they're going to give you the information. You know, it's like I don't know why I just thought about that liger, that lion and tiger, and how they once they mate and have children, they can never mate again and have any children. It's a one-off. But you know, we all know this. We already have this information, but yet we keep on doing it, thinking that we're going to somehow beat the system. Science is trying to always beat the system. You know, certain things are not going to work. Certain things are not going to mesh. And if you do get it to work, then it shows you with a true slap in the face that that's just once. You got over one time. And you know what I liked about this movie, I don't even know if I would have used the word I liked about this movie, but what I see from this movie through these games that were being played is that you are being told everything that's going to happen to you. There are no secrets. All the information is out there. And it reminds me of the things that we're going through now with this, you know, jabba dabba do. I got that from Matt from Quantum of Conscience. And that jabba dabba do is, you know, maybe something that you should really seriously not just sign away the term, not sign yes to those terms and conditions. It wouldn't hurt to read them. And you know, I don't really want to get too much into, I don't want to do a spoiler alert, but you know, that man that was smiling and that man that kept popping up, you know, this man, you know, I don't want to go there, but let me just say this. The movie also told us this, that there's a world of people out there that are so rich. Okay. So there's a guy who wins this game, okay? And the guy wins the game, and he's now a billionaire, right? And the movie takes place 1 year after he wins the game. And this guy's like living off of like $10 a day and barely even touches the money in his account, and will ask and panhandle, hey, you got 10 bucks on you? And he'll take somebody's 10 bucks and just live off of it. He hasn't shaven in a year. He hasn't cut his hair in a year. He hasn't done anything to really take. He's like totally depressed because, of course, he's suffering from survivor's remorse or survivor's guilt, whatever the wording is. That, you know, this guy's like, 400 and something people died. I'm the only one that made it. And it's like interesting how he just could not go back to a life. You see, the money is what made him go. The lure of the money is what had him go back to the game. But when he got the money, he realized that it wasn't worth it. The money, none of it was worth it. And he realized that the hard way. Somebody's hitting me with their high beams. Like, I'm going 65 and a 65, man. What are you doing? Yeah, go around. Come on. I don't want to go 70 in a 65, and I'm in the far right lane. Anyway, now he's in front of me. Do I hit him with the high beams and be tit for tat with him? No. That was 10 years ago, 20 years ago. I don't do that anymore. So, he realized that the money wasn't worth it. The money wasn't worth it. He saw so much death. And then the last game was all about, what was the last game all about? The last game was about fighting to the death. And we're talking about people that are not fighters. One of them was a very educated person who, went to college, and these are not people that know how to fight. These are not gangsters. This is just humanity. And this guy, he wins this game, and he realizes that it wasn't worth it. And then, he did to me, he did some real sucker shit. But it wasn't his fault. It was the writing, and I didn't like it. It reminded me of the movie that I did not like. I loved the movie, but I didn't like the part in the Close Encounters of the Third Kind. What's his name? Dreyfus, right? Dreyfus is the actor. I can't remember his first name. And this dude Dreyfus is like, gets on the damn ship. Hey, hello, you have a wife and kids, man. You don't leave your wife and kids to go on a ship because they did a song. Come on. What the hell kind of crap is that? And then at the end of this movie, it appears that the guy, he kind of has like a moment where he sees one of those recruiters that are recruiting people with those games, those origami paper style, red and blue paper that they slam against each other. He was able to witness that while he's on his way to, like, he started to change his life. Like, after the year, he had a moment with someone, and that moment with someone kind of made him feel better about his life. And let me just say this. He was basically told, this is what he was told, because, he had so much money, he didn't do anything with it. And people are just like, when you have that kind of money and you can buy anything you want, you start to realize that maybe you don't want anything. Because, he spent a year after getting the money not doing anything. So now the whole point is, when you have, it's like, what do you get someone who has everything? What do you get the person who has everything? I've heard that throughout my life. What do you get that person who has everything? A lot of times you just go over and visit them and spend some quality time with them. It's better than any gift you can give them, especially when they have it all. And this person was trying to tell him, like, listen, man, it's been a year. You haven't spent any money. And he's just like, well, why didn't you do what you did? He said, well, when you have this much money, you have to have like, in other words, this game was about entertaining the elite. Very Illuminati. The white and black checkerboard floors and the pyramid Illuminati tables and the 36 candles that are burning in the centerpiece. Very Illuminati, very elite. So it doesn't really talk about things like I talk about with this reality that we're in might be some sort of simulation. What this talks about is when you are in very, very high, powerful positions and you have, that oil money and you have that tech money. When you have all of this, and you have everything, then watching people fight to the death, it's a lot more entertaining than going to Great Adventure. And that to me was a truth drop. And I mean, throughout the years, they've made tons of movies like that where people are being hunted. I remember when Ice-T did that movie with Charles S. Dutton, and he was like a homeless guy, and then they fed him real good, and then they chased him through the woods trying to kill him, which is very Saturnalia. You know, these concepts have been around a long time. You know, before Christmas came around, there was a time where for 12 days there was a purge going on all over Europe where they had this Saturnalia holiday, and they would kill people. Like, this is nothing new. Humanity has found massive joy in taking human life. And this was another truth drop. Like, there are people out there that will position you. Rutger Hauer was in that movie. R.I.P. Rutger Hauer. I loved Rutger Hauer. He did tons of like these B.D. movies, science fiction movies that I used to love back in the 90s and 2000s. Rutger Hauer. And I remember him with the Charles S. Dutton and Rutger Hauer. That's right. I forgot about that. But you know, this is you see, but here's the thing. This movie is for the masses that are into the Illuminati, that are into these elite, ritualistic organizations behind the curtains, closed doors, rich shit, you know, people betting on gore and horror. So it's surface. It's on the surface. It's not deep. It's not good versus evil. It's not good versus evil, because you're a degenerate loser who's willing to push somebody in a tug of war in order to save your life so that you can get closer to the money. So would I recommend this movie to anyone? Absolutely not. It's way too disgusting, way too violent, way too gore-filled, and then it's not deep enough. There's not a deepness that I would like to have. I would like my movie to, especially 9 parts. They never got into the people that were wearing the pink outfits with the fencing style blackface masks. They didn't get into what's going on with them, because they were under lock and key as well. Despite the fact that they had guns. I have this truck coming up behind me at 75 miles an hour. What the hell, bro? Sorry. Huge tractor trailer is behind me. All right, let me speed up. I don't need this smoke.
1 mile, exit the highway.
So I just jumped up to 80 real quick just to get this guy out off of me. Jesus. Now I'm back to 65. I mean, he was literally 2 feet from my bumper. I don't need any smoke with a tractor trailer. That's a fact. So I wouldn't recommend the movie. I'm totally distracted by what I was just saying. Here's my exit now. And yeah, it wasn't like they didn't get into the pink people, the pink outfit people enough. But I did like the fact that they did show how the black market always wins. The black market always wins. And any post-apocalyptic anything, it's the black market that wins, because these people that had the pink...
To enter the highway in 1/4 mile.
These people that had the pink outfits, when people were being shot and killed, what did they do? They were harvesting their organs. and only some of them. So some of the people that were killed, they didn't even care about. But some of the ones that maybe were on their way to die still was kind of alive. And there was references to, like, sexual
400
assault.
feet, enter the highway.
They made references to a sexual assault that was committed onto one of those women that were dying. They made a big joke how she was a zombie, and they were taking turns. The people, and this is another thing. There was a doctor that was part of this group, and the people in the pink outfits recruited the doctor and gave the doctor tips for the next games that were going to be played, so that the doctor could win these games, because they needed the doctor to help them harvest the organs. And they were taking the organs and they were traveling to South Korea with them. So they were using scuba gear to get the organs out of the island. So there's always, no matter where you go, no matter what you do, there's always a back room where there's a card game being played, there's sex being sold, there's libations being poured, there are drugs that are being done. There's no way you can get around that. Humanity, that element has to exist. There cannot be Little House on the Prairie. No. Because Little House on the Prairie, I'm saying prairie, there has to be a barn where, there's a party going on. And it can't be a sanctioned party. It has to be a party that no one knows about. It has to be an event or a function that no one knows, because that's what humanity want. No matter how hard you try to deny that, all these or not always win, it's going to win. Anyway, thank you very much. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate checking in on this channel of mine and hearing me out on this Illuminati truth drop movie that really dropped the ball on going a little deeper with, in other words, the people that were playing the game, were not the only ones that were being held captive and free at the same time.